Okay, so today we're going to take a deep dive into all this stuff that everyone's been talking about. It seems like the whole world is buzzing about Elon Musk's new AI, Grok 3?
Yeah, Grok 3.
We've gotten so many questions from you listeners.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot of attention.
Articles, analyses, technical documents, everything about Grok 3.
And it makes sense, this isn't just like asking a chatbot on a website a simple question.
Right, this is different.
Yeah, Musk is saying that this is AI that can, understand the universe.
Understand the universe. I mean, that's a pretty big claim, right?
It is. It is a big claim.
Especially since it's not just theoretical anymore.
Right.
This is being integrated into Twitter, into Tesla's self-driving cars, even SpaceX missions.
Yeah, it's not just sitting in some lab somewhere. It's out there in the real world.
And it's already making waves.
So to really understand what we're dealing with here, I think we need to start by looking at what makes Grok 3 so different from everything that's come before. And one of the things that you sent me some info about was this deep search feature.
Oh yeah, deep search.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that seems to be a huge part of what makes it so different. It can scan the whole internet, or all of X now, I guess, in real time.
Yeah, so it's not just like, here's the information we have, analyze it. It's constantly getting new information, constantly evolving.
So it's learning all the time.
Constantly.
That's incredible.
Like having access to, imagine all the news articles.
Oh, wow.
Every scientific paper, every social media post, all analyzed and summarized by an AI.
That's insane.
And that's what deep search does.
So that's how it's learning, but how's it thinking? One of these sources was talking about the architecture of Grok 3, and it was talking about this hybrid model, transformer-based language processing with something called neurosymbolic AI.
Right, yeah.
Honestly, it sounds pretty complicated to me.
It is complex.
But apparently it allows Grok 3 to do something really amazing.
Well, think about it this way. Traditional AI, it's great at recognizing patterns, right?
Sure.
Like if you show it a picture of a cat, it can tell you that it's a cat. But it's not so good at the kind of step-by-step logic that humans use to solve problems.
Okay, I see.
But what's unique about Grok 3 is that it can do both.
It can see the patterns and think logically.
Exactly.
That sounds a lot closer to how we think.
That's the idea.
So it's not just about finding the information, it's about understanding it, making sense of it.
Right.
Okay, but hold on. What about that SpaceX launch date? Grok 3 got that wrong, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
I mean, if it's so smart, how could it make such a basic mistake?
That's a good point, and it definitely raised some eyebrows.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that even with all these advancements, AI systems can still make mistakes.
Okay, sure.
They're trained on massive data sets. But those data sets aren't perfect. They can contain biases, inaccuracies, outdated information.
So it's still learning. It's going to make mistakes along the way.
Exactly.
I guess that's a little reassuring in a way. It'd be pretty terrifying if it was already perfect, right?
It would be. We'd have to be worried.
Okay, so let's talk about Musk's vision for Grok 3. He's made some pretty bold claims about it, saying it outperforms anything else out there. He even introduced these two specialized versions, Grok 3 Reasoning and Grok 3 Mini Reasoning.
Right.
Both focused on tackling complex problems. Is that just marketing hype, or is there something to it?
Well, Musk is known for his bold statements, but in this case, there's evidence to suggest that Grok 3 is a significant step forward.
Okay.
Remember that hybrid architecture we talked about?
Yeah.
That seems to be key to its advanced reasoning capabilities.
And you can't forget about the sheer computing power they're using. One source said they trained it on SAI's Colossus supercomputer, using something like 200,000 GPUs. That's double what they used before.
Wow.
That's a lot of power.
That's incredible. That kind of computational muscle is unprecedented.
Yeah.
Gives it a massive advantage in terms of processing speed and learning capacity.
It definitely seems like they're putting everything they've got into making Grok 3 the leader.
It's a big investment.
And they're going head-to-head with OpenAI's GPT-5 and Google's Gemini, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like an AI arms race.
It's a race to the top.
And speaking of competition, have you seen what they're doing with the Premium Plus subscription on X?
What's that?
It's the one that gives you access to Grok 3. Well, they just raised the price.
Significantly.
Significantly.
Interesting.
It seems like maybe this scary smart AI comes with a pretty scary price tag, too.
That raises some questions about who's going to have access to this technology.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. We've covered a lot of ground here already, from Grok 3's capabilities and potential applications, to the concerns about its accuracy, the ethical implications, and now the cost of access.
It's a lot to unpack.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, we've got a lot more to dive into.
But before we get into that, we got some great questions from you listeners about Grok 3. Some really specific questions that I think will help us really get into the details.
All right, let's hear them.
So let's shift gears for a minute and focus on those.
Sounds good to me. Okay, let's dive into those questions you sent in. The first one is a big one. What are Grok 3's main features?
That's a good place to start. I mean, we've touched on a few things already, but it's worth laying it all out.
Absolutely.
So based on everything we've seen, I think the most standout feature has got to be its advanced reasoning abilities. That hybrid architecture we talked about seems to be the key there. It allows Grok 3 to process information and solve problems in a way that just wasn't possible with previous chatbots.
Right. It's not just about finding information anymore. It's about understanding it, making connections, drawing conclusions.
And that's huge.
And we can't forget about deep search, that real-time access to information from the internet and X. It's like having a constant stream of knowledge flowing into its brain.
It's like it's always learning, always evolving.
Exactly, and that makes its reasoning abilities even more powerful.
So it's not just smart, it's getting smarter all the time.
And there's one more thing that I think is worth mentioning, something that sets Grok 3 apart from other AIs.
What's that?
Its personality.
Oh yeah, a lot of the sources mention that. Its sense of humor, its willingness to engage in controversial discussions.
It's almost like it's been designed to be a bit provocative.
A little bit rebellious.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes you wonder if that's a deliberate choice on XAI's part.
I think it is. They're trying to create an AI that feels more human-like, more engaging and interesting to interact with.
It's definitely a different approach. So, okay, we've got a sense of what makes Grok 3 tick, but how has it been received? Your next question was about an investor reaction to the launch.
Well, if the Grok token is anything to go by, investors are very excited.
Excited how?
The token surged by 82% after the announcement.
82%.
Yeah, that's a huge vote of confidence.
It seems like they're betting big on Grok 3.
They definitely are.
But not everyone was blown away, right? You also asked about criticisms of the presentation.
That's right. Some critics found the launch event a bit underwhelming.
Really?
They felt it relied too heavily on Musk's bold claims and lacked concrete demonstrations of Grok 3's capabilities.
So, a bit more showmanship than substance.
Yeah, some people felt that way.
And of course, there was that SpaceX launch date mishap, which didn't exactly inspire confidence.
That definitely provided some ammunition for the skeptics.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, if it's so smart, how could it get something like that wrong?
It's a valid question.
Which brings us to your next question, and it's a big one. Are Musk's claims about Grok 3 actually verified?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And unfortunately, the answer is not entirely.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of his claims, particularly the ones about Grok 3 outperforming all other AI models, they haven't been independently verified.
So we have to take his word for it.
I think a healthy dose of skepticism is warranted until we see more concrete evidence.
So we need to wait and see how Grok 3 performs in the real world.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. So last question on the list. What future updates can users expect?
Well, one highly anticipated feature is the voice interface. It was promised at launch, but wasn't ready due to some technical glitches.
I remember that.
But Musk has indicated that it will be rolled out soon, so users will be able to interact with Grok 3 using natural language.
That's going to be a game changer for accessibility.
It will.
Anything else on the horizon?
Well, Musk has also ended at open sourcing Grok 2. Once Grok 3 is more mature and stable.
Open sourcing.
Yeah, that means making the code publicly available.
Wow, that's a big deal.
It is. It would allow researchers and developers from around the world to study, modify, and build upon the technology.
That could lead to some major advancements in AI.
It could accelerate the pace of development in ways we can't even imagine.
So, a lot to look forward to. It seems like Grok 3 is just the beginning.
I think you're right. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
So what's the takeaway here? We've talked about the features, the hype, the criticisms, the future. Where does it all leave us?
I think the main takeaway is that Grok 3 is a powerful new tool with the potential to revolutionize many aspects of our lives, but it's important to approach it with a balanced perspective, acknowledging both its potential benefits and its potential risks.
Right, we can't get carried away by the hype.
Exactly.
We need to be thoughtful about how we develop and use this technology.
We need to ensure that AI is used responsibly, ethically, and for the benefit of all humankind.
Well said. It's a lot to think about. And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's always more to explore.
But that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Until next time.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground on Grok 3, but let's bring it all together and answer those questions that you sent in, starting with the basics. What are the main features that make Grok 3 stand out?
Well, it really comes down to three main things. Its advanced reasoning abilities, its real-time learning capabilities, and its distinct personality.
Okay, let's break those down one by one.
Sure. So first, the advanced reasoning. That comes from the hybrid architecture we talked about earlier, combining pattern recognition with logical reasoning.
Right, it's not just matching patterns anymore.
Exactly. It's actually understanding the information, making connections, drawing conclusions.
So it's thinking more like a human.
That's the goal.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's deep search. That constant stream of information from the internet and X.
Yeah, that's a game changer. It means Grok 3 is always learning, always updating its knowledge base.
So it's not limited to what it was trained on?
Not at all. It's constantly evolving.
Wow, that's incredible. And what about its personality? A lot of the sources mention that.
Right, that's the third key feature. Its sense of humor, its willingness to engage in controversial topics. It's almost like it's been designed to be a bit provocative.
Like it has a mind of its own.
Yeah, I think that's a deliberate choice on XAI's part. They're trying to make Grok 3 feel more human-like, more engaging.
It's definitely working. It's got everyone talking. Okay, so we've got a good understanding of what Grok 3 is all about. But how has it been received by the world? You asked specifically about how investors reacted to the launch.
Well, the Grok token price tells us everything we need to know. It surged by 82% after the announcement.
82%, that's huge.
Yeah, it's a massive vote of confidence from the financial world.
It seems like they're betting big on Grok 3's success.
They definitely are.
But not everyone was quite so enthusiastic, right? You also asked about some of the criticisms that were raised about the presentation.
That's true. Not everyone was blown away. Some critics felt that the launch event was a bit light on substance. They were hoping for more concrete demonstrations of Grok 3's capabilities, rather than just bold pronouncements from Elon Musk.
Yeah, there was a sense that maybe the hype exceeded the reality, at least initially.
And of course, there was that SpaceX launch date prediction, which turned out to be incorrect.
Right, that definitely didn't help. Which brings us to the big question. Are Musk's claims about Grok 3 actually verified?
That's the million-dollar question, and the honest answer is not entirely.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of his claims, especially the ones about Grok 3 outperforming all other AI models on the market, they haven't been independently verified.
So we have to take his word for it.
I think it's healthy to be a bit skeptical until we see more concrete evidence.
So we need to wait and see how Grok 3 performs in the real world. All right, that makes sense. So looking ahead, what future updates can users expect?
Well, one highly anticipated feature is the voice interface. It was promised at launch, but wasn't quite ready yet due to some technical glitches.
Right, I remember that.
But Musk has assured us that it's coming soon, so users will be able to interact with Grok 3 using natural language.
That's going to be a game changer.
Absolutely. It'll make Grok 3 much more accessible and user-friendly.
Anything else on the horizon?
Well, there's also the possibility of open sourcing Grok 2 once Grok 3 is more mature and stable.
Open sourcing.
Yeah, that means making the source code publicly available.
Wow, that would be huge.
It would. It would allow researchers and developers from all over the world to study, modify, and build upon the technology.
That could really accelerate the pace of AI development.
It could lead to breakthroughs that we can't even imagine right now.
That's an exciting thought. So it seems like Grok 3 is just the beginning. The world of AI is changing rapidly.
It is, and it's going to be fascinating to see where it goes.